Okay, so welcome back, everyone. For today's deep dive, we're looking into something pretty scary. Uh, the wildfires that just tore through Pacific Palisades,
Yeah, just yesterday, January 7th.
2025.
Wildfires.
And we've got some excerpts here from the LA Times about
Yeah.
what happened.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you,
It's
it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So we're going to break down what happened, like how these fires spread so fast, and what it all means, for everyone involved.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's kind of remarkable is it's not just like one fire, The
Yeah.
LA Times, they were reporting on multiple fires all happening at the same time. Pacific Palisades, we've got Altadena, Pasadena, even Sylmar.
Wow.
Like Sylmar's way out there, so this is a really big event.
It sounds like there was something else going on, right?
Yeah.
Because this is like multiple fires all at once.
Yeah.
It seems like those crazy winds they're talking about must have played a part. I mean, have you seen this? 99-mile-an-hour gusts.
Oh, yeah.
That's not just windy. That's basically a hurricane.
It is.
And the article, they're using words like life-threatening and destructive. So it really gives you a sense of like how fast these fires were able to spread.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you think about a fire and you try and picture, like, how do you even fight that? It's almost like if you were fighting it and someone had like a giant fan just blowing against you.
Yeah.
It just feeds the flames. Wind acts as a bellows, feeds oxygen to the flames, pushes them across the land. And so these things can just take off in an instant.
Yeah, and they're not even contained. They're just spreading everywhere because the wind is everywhere.
Right, exactly. And, I know you mentioned these winds. I think these are aren't they called the Santa Ana winds?
Yes, I think that's right.
Those are notorious in Southern California. They come down from the mountains and they're super dry, super hot. Dry out all the vegetation, So you've got this perfect fuel just waiting to be ignited.
Yeah, it's almost like it's primed for like an explosion.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know kind of how bad these Santa Ana winds can be.
Right.
So let's just focus on the Palisades fire for a second. Like, just imagine it's 10:30 on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Everything seems normal, right? Then suddenly, boom, a fire breaks out along Piedra Mirada Drive. By evening, that same fire has blown up to over 2,900 acres. It's scary how quickly things can change like that.
And the human impact is, well, huge. I mean, the LA Times was talking to people and they were saying they had to like grab just a few belongings, maybe some photos or something, and then just flee their homes. One woman was describing it like the sky turned orange as the flames just raced toward her house.
That's terrifying.
It is.
Even
a lot of people, they had to abandon their cars to escape because the fire was just moving that fast.
That's so sad. It really puts it into perspective that it's not just about the land being burnt. It's about people's lives being turned upside down, families being displaced.
Yeah.
And like not knowing what happens next.
And from what it sounds like in the LA Times article, the danger wasn't over quickly either.
Yeah.
They were saying that strong north winds, like 35 to 60 miles an hour, were expected to continue through the night.
Right.
So this wasn't just a quick burst of like wind and flames. This was something that was just going to keep going.
So it sounds like firefighters, they were battling against nature itself.
They were.
I mean, how do you even begin to fight a fire in those conditions?
It's so tough. It really changes your whole approach. Instead of, directly attacking the fire when the winds are that strong, you have to really focus on containing it.
Okay.
The priority becomes protecting people and buildings and then just waiting for the conditions to change.
It sounds almost impossible.
It is incredibly challenging.
And then on top of all of that, the article says that at the time that they were reporting, they didn't know what caused the fire. And it just makes this whole thing even more mysterious.
Yeah. And I think figuring out what caused it is going to be a huge part of preventing more fires in the future. Was it an accident? Was it something natural? Was it something else? That's what investigators are going to be trying to work out.
Well, hopefully they can figure that out. Because this is a scary reminder of how powerful nature can be and how vulnerable we are.
Well, and it makes you wonder, right, about climate change.
Oh, yeah.
These crazy wind events, they seem to be happening more and more often.
They do.
And it seems pretty likely that it's connected to the planet warming up. And if that's the case, then we might need to really rethink how we prepare for these wildfires. I mean, imagine if communities, especially in places that are really prone to fire, imagine if they had stricter rules for building, so you had to use fire-resistant materials. Or imagine if we invested way more in systems for detecting fires early on.
Yeah, I mean, that makes you think about how we can prepare better both as individuals and as, like, whole communities.
Yeah.
Because we got to learn from this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to be using these events, these really terrible events, as a chance to learn and to make ourselves stronger.
Mm-hmm.
What can we actually do to lower the risks and create communities that are more resilient, that are prepared?
It's a lot to think about. So as we wrap up today, we wanted to leave you all with some questions to keep thinking about this. What does this event tell us about climate change and how it's affecting our lives right now? What can we learn from the people who have been impacted by these fires? And how can we, all of us, work together to create safer communities and be better prepared for these kinds of threats in the future? Those are some things we hope you'll keep considering.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.